Hey guys, we often make videos that we know are going to be unpopular, and this is going to be one of them. Just going to start by talking about the style of communication, style of mass communication that is very manipulative of people, but works really well. And that's the "we are good and those people are not good" style of mass communication. So you'll recognise this from tabloid newspaper or any newspapers, TV. YouTube, or internet, bloggers, anybody like that. And it really works really well, because if you connect yourself with a group, works in sports as well. Our team's really good, their team's really bad. And soon you've got people together chanting for this team, you know, and strongly feeling about this team. And it's just a human trait, a human emotion, or a human set of human emotions that can be tapped into, right? And it seems that clever people and clever businesses are really good at doing that. And clever media people are very clever at doing that. Guys like Alan Jones and, you know, people on big YouTubers on the front page of YouTube are very clever at manipulating that, because they can do that. They can get a big group of people that are we are okay, and those people are not okay. Our religion is okay, and their religion is not okay. And it really works. It gets together huge groups of people and can make the people that are doing it really popular and give them a really high profile, and they make a lot of money out of it, right? So it's just what they do. So the example of this is another one that has just been on YouTube this week, and it was that the UK, first I'll say it in a non-emotional way, okay? The UK government has been making £315 million a year from penalties imposed on people who have been breaking traffic laws using speed cameras and other public cameras in public places. Okay, that's the non-emotional way of describing what's going on. But of course, the way it's described in the media is spy cameras, the government's secret spy cameras. Spy camera? What's a spy camera? The government's secret spy cameras are being used to catch people and to line the government's pockets with £315 million a year, right? And I mean, you guys know that topic. If that topic comes up at dinner, if you're sitting around with your family at dinner and this topic comes up, or if you're at a barbecue and this topic comes up, or if there's some people talking on TV or on talkback radio or something and this topic comes up, people love this topic because everyone's got a story. Oh, I was driving on the highway once, and it was a big straight piece of safe highway with nobody around, and I was 10 kilometres an hour over the speed limit, and a week later I got a ticket in the mail for $200 or something, right? And so if I can sit with a whole group of people who are all saying, yeah, that sucks, the government's just lining their pockets, and then we all feel better, right? We all feel better. I feel better about my $200 ticket because I feel like, yeah, I ain't done nothing wrong. I'm a good person, you know? It's the us and them. It's those people that are the problem. The reason I got a speeding ticket was because of those bad people, you know? And all these good people agree with me, and I'm a good person too, because we all agree that I ain't done nothing wrong, you know? which makes us feel all very good, but it's bullshit. One of the best interviews I ever saw was a long time ago, because they've had speed cameras and red light cameras and things in Australia for years, you know, maybe, I don't know, 25 years, who knows. But maybe 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I was in Australia, and there was an interview on TV with a police sergeant, an old police sergeant, you know, and this news reporter. It was the same story 25 years ago, and the same story, and the news reporter said something similar to this, you know, that what do you say to charges that spy cameras are being used to line the government's pockets, right? Some emotive question like that, you know. And this old police sergeant just sort of stood there and he thought about it for a second. He said, I don't know. He said, I don't know, maybe. And then he said, but you don't have to contribute. And that really hit home to me. I thought that was a really good point. That was a really good point, that, you know, let's take responsibility for our own actions, you know. Like, whatever the government's motivation is, you know, we have a choice. We don't have to pay fines and penalties, you know, and that really turned me around on the issue, because I'd been to enough barbecues and dinners and things with people all talking about they're really bad and we're really good, and yeah, I got a speeding ticket and it was $200 and it's because of those people and all the rest of it, but it's all bullshit. If we get a parking ticket or a speeding, I mean, I'm not saying it incorrectly, okay? If you're doing the speed limit and you get a ticket that says you're doing 10 kilometres more or something, then that sucks, and then someone needs to do something about that. But I'm talking about when you know it was true, you know? And when I've never had a speeding ticket or a parking ticket or anything else that I didn't deserve. I've never looked at one and thought, no, that's bullshit. Every time I've looked at it, I thought, yeah, it's fair enough. You know, glad they didn't get me 10 minutes before that when I was going faster, you know, before I put the brakes on. So, you know, and I think most of you guys would agree with that you know, if you're speeding over the limit, you know, and then when you get caught, oh, shit, you know, damn, or flash, you know, from the camera, you know you were breaking the law and you got caught, you know, and there's also a natural thing in us, we don't like rules, you know, particularly when we're young dudes and we're full of testosterone and stuff. Rules suck, police suck, our parents suck, anybody who stops us doing what we want to do sucks. We want to drive at 200 kilometres an hour, smoking joints and drinking beer, and anybody who tells us we can't sucks, you know. And, you know, the reality is, guys, that we need to have rules, don't we? We can't have people that everybody's speeding, you know, we can't have, and oh, but well, it's only 10 kilometres over the limit, but the thing is, you've got to have a limit. So then if you increase the limit to 160, you know, say, okay, the new limit for the highway is 160 kilometres an hour, you know, and then someone gets caught doing 170, but I was only doing 10 kilometres over the limit, then they'd complain, right? You've always got to have a cut-off point, you know, and so, I don't know, I think we just got to, the point of this video was to point out that, you know, we're being manipulated. That the people that, when that's happening to us, by the media or by people on YouTube or by anybody else, they're manipulating us, guys. Because I know when I make this video, it's unpopular. I know when I make it. And when they make their video, they know it's going to be popular. So when they make their video saying that the government's using spy cameras to line their pockets and all that sort of bullshit, they know that's going to be a popular video. They know they're going to make a lot of money out of that. And it's the same as the newspapers. You put that on the front page of a newspaper, you know you're going to sell a lot of newspapers and make a lot of money. And that's what they're about. That's what editors of newspapers are judged on, is their readership. So they want to sell a lot of newspapers. So they're manipulating us. You know, they're manipulating us, guys. It's not the government things that it's smoke and mirrors. It's the people that are getting us to get a little emotional about this. And let's just touch on the government lining their pockets thing too. Taxes is inevitable, right? We can't avoid the taxes thing. We've got to pay taxes. If you want a road to drive your car on, if you want to turn the water on, turn the tap on, have water come out. If you want to have all the stuff, if you want to have the hospitals and you want to have all the government provided stuff that we have, we've got to pay taxes. We'd all like to pay less tax. And here's another one. You want to make a popular video or a popular newspaper article, talk about how the taxes are too high. If you want to get elected as a politician, that's why politicians do that shit. They know there's no better way to manipulate Joe Public than to tell him that I'm going to reduce your taxes. That gets votes. Of course it does. Everybody wants to pay less tax. It's just the way it is. But another brilliant piece of advice I was given years ago by a really good accountant is, if you want to make money, you're going to pay some tax. You know, anybody who pays absolutely no tax at all, generally they're not making any money, with a few exceptions. But generally, if someone says to you, I'm paying zero tax, generally they're not making a lot of money, because we just have to pay tax. All that shit's got to be paid for. So, if they're making £315 million a year out of traffic tickets, that's £315 million a year less that they have to raise in other ways from tax from people, right? Which means if I was living in the UK and they were talking about £315 million a year being raised in fines for people breaking traffic laws, I'd be happy. Because great, that's £315 million is going to go into the government accounts. That'll be less that they'll have to tax me. And if I don't want to contribute to that 315 million, I've got a choice. You know, I just don't park illegally and don't speed and don't go through red lights. Right? Or the other thing is too, if we do speed, or we do, you know, you guys have seen on the Japan channel, you know, I've had a few tickets in Japan, you know, for speeding and speeding and speeding and speeding. But, you know, on highways, a little bit over the limit, you know, you can't, I knew I was speeding. You know, it wasn't a trick. They didn't trick me into speeding, you know. I knew I was speeding. I knew what the limit was. I knew I was breaking the law. I got caught. I knew what the penalty would be. You know, as soon as that, you know, some actually two times was speed cameras, you know, and you go through it and goes, and you look at the speed, and you know straight away, you know how much over the limit you were, and you've got a bit of an idea how much the penalty's going to be. You know, to then bitch about the government's just lining their pockets, really, come on. Come on. And again, I know this is an unpopular topic, and I know there'll be some people that will get all emotional about this and that will say, you know, there shouldn't be rules, man. We don't need rules, man. I want to drive 200 kilometres an hour with a big joint and a bottle of beer, you know. We don't need rules, man. We don't need taxes, man, you know. Okay, anybody who wants to have all those opinions, that's fine as well. But I mean, you know, we've got to be realistic. What's that word? Reasonable. There's that word. There's that word we haven't used for a while. Reasonable. I mean, you know, reasonable. If it was a trick and we didn't know and then there's a penalty, and stuff like that I'd totally support. You know, and again you get some story where someone's had the real rough end of the deal, you know, where something's happened to them and they could no way they could have avoided it. It's like, no, that's not fair. That's different. But, you know, when you know the rule, you purposefully, intentionally break the rule and then you get caught, don't whinge like a bitch. Don't whinge and whine and say it's all their fault, you know. I got really sick of that shit. Australia's full of that at barbecues and things. Anytime you get more than 3 people together, there's a lot of this goes on. Bitching about the government, bitching about the taxes, bitching about the police. You know, you won't have any problems with the police if you don't break the law, with some exceptions again. But I mean, you know, really, you know, and once they all start breaking out their stories, and they, you know, I go, oh yeah, I went through red light once, and it had only just gone red, and I got a ticket because Australia's got red light cameras, and it's actually triggered as soon as the light goes red, it takes the photo, and if your car's still in the intersection when the red light goes, it's poof, gotcha. So, you know, and there's always people, you start this topic at a barbecue in Australia and a whole heap of people will start bitching about it. Oh yeah, I got caught once. And because it makes them feel better. Instead of saying, I was breaking the rules, I got caught, I got a penalty. Right? It's much easier to say, yeah, it's their fault. It's their fault that I had to pay a $200 fine. It's their fault. It's all that guy. It's all that, you know, it's all that Prime Minister. It's all that government leader. It's his fault that I had to pay a penalty. You know, it's much more popular to say that. So that's why you'll never see this video on the front page of YouTube. It's not the way. It's not the way to get on the front page of YouTube. It's really not. If you want to get on the front page of YouTube, make a video and say exactly the opposite of everything that was just said in this video. Anyway, but just, you know, something to think about, guys. Something to think about. You know, we've got a choice. And to those young dudes that are watching this, you know, man, I've spent thousands of dollars over the years in speeding tickets. And I don't get them as often as I used to. It's a bit rarer now, but you've got a choice, you know. And it does get easier. As you get older, that's why old dudes tend to drive more slowly. There's a few reasons for that, but one of them is that we don't want the penalties. Because we know, well look, you know, 20 kilometres. If you're only doing 10 over the limit, you're not going to get there much faster. If you do the math, okay, I'm going to drive 25 kilometres, from here to there is 25 kilometres, I'm going to drive at 60k is the limit, or I'm going to drive at 70. If you do the math and work out how fast, how much quicker you'll get there if you go at 70, it's only going to be a couple of minutes. So you can drive at the speed limit all the way there and get there at virtually the same time. It's only be a couple of minutes different. So, you know, it's easy. You can just cruise at the speed limit, and then you won't get the penalties. Or if you want to speed there, that's cool. But if you get caught and you get a penalty, don't bitch about it. You know, man up and say, yeah, I was speeding. You know, I was speeding. Yeah, I got caught. I paid the penalty. And don't take it out on the cop. You know, arseholes that, those videos on YouTube where some dickhead speeding, he gets caught, the cop said, do you know why I pulled you over? Oh, I was only going 5 kilometres over. Haven't you got a job? Why don't you go and catch some criminals, you know? I was only going 10 over the limit. And he said, well, if that arsehole hadn't been speeding, the cop could be off chasing some criminals, but because he saw that guy speeding, he had to stop him. You know, and hassling the cop because you were doing something wrong and you got caught is just bullshit. It's so childish. It really is. It's so childish. You know, if you were genuinely innocent and not speeding and you get pulled over, then fair enough. You can complain to the copper. But if you were speeding, you know you were speeding. Those videos on YouTube that start with the cop says, do you know why I pulled you over? And he says, you know, yeah, I was only going 10 mile an hour over the limit. Well, you know, okay. So I was only breaking the law a little bit. Why are you stopping me? Well, you're breaking the law, you dickhead. You know? Man up, take it. Take it. You're breaking the law, you got caught. Okay, fair enough. Raise your hands. Sorry. Yeah, I got it. How's your day been? How's your day been, officer? You know, and let him fill out his ticket. Here's my licence. Yeah, mate. Are you having a good day? Yeah, fine. It's not his fault. You know, cops, by the way, while we're on this topic, cops don't make the laws. These people that bitch about the coppers, if it's a bad cop, complain to their bosses, get them fired. But if it's a cop doing what he's told to do, you're speeding, he stops you for speeding, that's his job. These guys, you know, cops don't make the laws. There's a lot of shit on YouTube and on the internet in general about people bitching about the police. The spy cameras in the police and the spy cameras and this. Well, the cameras are there because the law says that they can be there. Politicians make the laws. Cops don't make laws. Cops enforce laws. If cops go outside the laws, they're criminals and they should be busted and put in jail. But if cops are just doing their job and they're enforcing laws, they didn't make the laws, they're just enforcing the laws. You know, again, it's that group thing. It's that group, it's much easier. It's the cops. We're all good people. It's the cops that are the problem. And, you know, it's a really popular, it's a sheep mentality, guys. I'm sorry, but it is. And there is a natural thing in human beings that makes us like this. Makes us group together and say those people are bad and we're good. And there it is again. We're good, the cops are bad. We're good, the government's bad. We're good, you know, those people are bad. And that's the most popular style of communication, mass communication that we've got. You know, which is why people love watching, some people love watching Alan Jones and some people love watching Bill O'Reilly and some people like watching Jon Stewart. And, you know, you got the other side as well where people like watching these different people because they feel good about themselves because they feel they're part of that group that everyone thinks the same as them. But those people over there are bad, you know? That's all fine and that's human nature, but we should be aware of it so that we're not manipulated, because we get manipulated. People get manipulated by this shit all the time. And that's why videos, if you go onto a video like that where somebody's saying we're all good, they're all bad, and get on there and say, come on. If that video with the $3 million fine thing, the £3 million in fines, I actually left a comment on that video just before I made this one. You can be guaranteed when I go back to my computer, there'll be some people there bitching at me. And they get really emotional. If you leave a comment and say, look, if you don't want to pay penalties, don't break the law. You know, and there'd be, you know, you're a prick, you're an arsehole, you know, cops suck. And the reactions you get, if you've got a whole group of people all saying we're good, they're bad, and then you say, excuse me a moment, excuse me, I actually think those people are just normal people and you guys are just normal people. And the reaction that you get is insane often because you're challenging that thing that makes people feel good. You know, it's much that people don't like feeling bad, and videos like this one can make people feel bad because they've spent the last 10 years blaming the cops for all their fines, and all of a sudden a dickhead like me stands up and says, you know, no dude, if you've had a whole heap of speeding tickets, it's because of you. The cops aren't picking on you. You're driving a piece of shit old car and you're speeding all the time. That's why you get pulled over all the time. You know, dude's an orange car with mag wheels and twin exhausts and speeding everywhere he goes, and he gets lots of speeding tickets and then complains the cops are picking on him. So, No, dude. You know, or he's got a rap sheet a mile long, you know, and he's cruising around getting stopped by the cops all the time. Well, yeah, they're not picking on you, mate. You know, you're putting your hand up. That's what you're doing. You're putting your hand up, saying, "Look at me. I'm probably breaking the law. Come and have a look." You know. Again, very unpopular video. Oh well. And you're welcome to opposite opinions if you wish. As always happy for people to leave opposite opinions. I totally disagree with you. I think the cops suck and that we're all good, or whatever you want to say. But please don't be rude about it, or your rudeness will be deleted and rude assholes will be blocked. Sorry, just the way it is. It's my sofa. You're sitting on my sofa. Let's keep it nice. Let's be nice to the guy whose sofa it is. More videos coming soon.